Hello there, it's John with a little video of some of the cars that I'm involved with. People seem to be doing a few of these, and while everything is kicking off, I'm down here to get some battery charger for a vehicle I'm using to help people home from hospital. I'm not sure about the contents of the battery and whether it'll restart, so I'm taking a battery and a battery charger home, so if the worst comes to the worst I can just jump it on the road. I thought I'd start with a little bit of information about this car. It's a 1986 Isuzu Piazza Turbo JR120. Had it for a little while, been involved with it for a little while. I thought I'd bust a few myths for you about what these are and what they're not. They are based on the T-Car platform, which is what the Isuzu Gemini, Vauxhall and Chevrolet Chevette, Opel Kadett, Daewoo Mepsi, and I think the Seyhan Bird was spun off. They do have commonality, I think, in terms of the floor pan, but everything else is different. They're a wider track, they're longer, so on and so forth. To further the Twitter joke, it doesn't have cart springs at the back. And no, I haven't let that one go. Open the bonnet for you. Incidentally, I know you're probably thinking it's incredibly dusty, but just before everything kicks off, I actually wiped this down, but the infamous Fenland blow is in full effect, and it's really, really dusty, as you can see. I need to wash it down. But to bust the first myth for you, that they use the same engine as the Elan M100, no, it's a longitudinal engine. It's actually called the 4CZ1T, and it's a development of the engine that was in the Vauxhall Midi, better known as the Isuzu Fargo. It was built in collaboration with IBC, the Midi, or the Fargo, and it just got imported and used to obviously build these engines. There was a diesel and a 2 litre, but this is the 2 litre petrol, because I think a diesel Piazza will be too horrifying to contemplate, frankly. But yeah, there it is. It's got a tiny little intercooler down there. The lights are a bit like, I suppose the closest thing that they're like is like the Iso Lele, or Lele, or however that's pronounced. They're not full covers, they just pop up. And if JJ hasn't unplugged this from the mains, because he might have done, given that he is a joyless little whore, and I can show you what it does. Walk it round. I'll get to this interior in a minute, which is pretty much unaltered from the Acidi Fiori or Ace of Spades concept car. There's a little shot of it for you. The wheel on this car is actually non-standard. It came from a Japanese handling by Lotus. But they came later. This is what's known as a pre-Lotus. And I can't actually get in because I'm too large. I'm getting stuck between the door aperture and dinging the Impreza next to me. If I turn these on, you can hear them pop up. I rather like the effect from Initial D. But I'll show you what this does. See them popped up there? That's what they do at full extension. And once I parked in Peterborough and someone got very upset with me parking in a particular space and actually ripped one of those eyebrows off. It wasn't the greatest night of my life, I'll tell you that much. Turn that off. But that's the first thing about them. The next thing, and I mentioned the Acidi Fiori, that this is a knockoff Mark II Scirocco. It isn't. It was designed as a concept car from the very start to be an Isuzu. Isuzu commissioned them directly. It was part of the Ace series. I think there was 3 others. There was a BMW-based one, an Alfa Romeo, and one other, I think. The confusion where, it's just a dressed-up Chevette, I think comes from the fact that the Acidi Fiori was based on the Gemini 1800 floor pan. The wheels on this car are not the standard ones. They come from a wheel design that was available in the States and in Australasia. They're 14x6, I believe, 4B100. And I'll show you another difference between this and a handling by Lotus. These have a different rear deck that's much similar to the Acidi Fiori. The handling by Lotus cars have different tail lights, a different rear garnish. That's all like body coloured and says like Piazza. It's all embossed, and these don't. This is a pre-Lotus, and they came into the country between 1985 and 1986 because there weren't any 1987 Piazzas because the importer Isuzu GB that was Charles Follett of Porsche, it went bust. And yeah, there were no 1987 Piazzas. The cars that came in were sat at Sheerness Docks and eventually paid for by the Allen Day Group and sold off at a discount. And I think this car is probably one of the ones that got stuck at Sheerness and was sold off by Allen Day. One of the things about it, it has a registration that ends in JIP. A lot of the pre-Lotuses were JIP or Hull. You know, getting into real sort of window-licking sadness here, but nice to know. So, I'll take you through the interior a little bit. Enormous door pockets for a start. They are really deep. You can fit me entire arm in there. A good metric and measurement, as I'm sure you're aware. Get in. Has that Japanese car smell of stale screen wash. And yeah, the console's quite small. This has got a slightly shortened gear stick. Previous owner actually shortened the gear stick to give the change a bit more of a positive feel. Yeah, the Delirious on Drugs dashboard, pretty much unaltered from the Astra di Fiore, apart from the colour scheme. Well, there's a few things I can show you. Everything works on pods. The indicator is there. I can't show it you, but it's there. Those two things meter, they're just rear starts to do this satellite and that satellite. You get used to it in the same way, you know, you put your hand on top of the gear lever in a DS. It's the same thing, you get used to it. And the great thing about it when you're driving is all you do is your hand just goes like that, and that's for the indicator. Windscreen wipers are there, lights are there, cruise control that works on this car is there. The only thing that doesn't work on this is the aircon. But everything, ventilation and demisting and all kinds of stuff, and the heater controls are there. It's yeah, it's a bit odd, and it looks deliriously weird, but you get used to it. This instrument pack actually weighs a ton, but you can adjust the steering wheel and all kinds of other things. This car has a few problems. Most of all, I think the head's cracked, which is why it's not on the road at the moment. But these do have, well, this does because it's a pre-Lotus. It has a limited slip diff, which is very popular with people who harvest them for bits for Chevettes and Mantas, and they don't just drop in. The half shafts are on a Piazza are shorter. The final drive will have a Chevette screaming its knackers off at about 90 miles an hour, doing about 5,500 RPM in top. And yeah, it's just not a good thing. The mounting points are also different, but you can tell this car has a diff. Well, of course it has a diff. It's rear wheel drive. What are you talking about, you madman? It's got a limited slip diff because of this option here. I feel like one of these people on an American muscle car show. You see that option there, G80? That means it's got a limited slip diff. None of the automatic Piazzas had them. None of them had slippers, and they were a cost option on the manual handling by Lotus cars. So it was only these that had them as standard. And I think that's about all I'd like to say about this. You know, you're obviously seeing a 605 here, and all kinds of other stuff in this carriage. But yeah, I think I'll end it there because it's nearly 8 minutes long and you're probably bored to death. So yeah, thank you for watching.